for the community members of the year. This year it was a tie. And Mr. Barnish, would you be there to please make the announcement of the two winners?
Yes. Hi. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. To echo what Steve just said, this was an important time, not only for our community, but for our schools to acknowledge people who've gone above and beyond. I had the distinct pleasure of announcing the community members of the year. It's a little extra special for me because one of them is Susan Banks, who is my aunt, and the other is Robin Gershaw. Just very briefly, Susan and Robin spearheaded an initiative, Denville Cut and Sew, that were able, through a network of volunteers, able to fabricate, sew, and distribute almost 22,000 masks to give out to frontline workers, community members, anyone that was in need. So it was really a tremendous accomplishment that they did. And, I'm personally proud of my aunt and Robin, but I think your community is also very proud of them as well. So congratulations.
Thank you. Let me just hold up the award. So this is for Mrs. Gershaw. This is for Mrs. Banks. We really, I think you guys can see them a little bit, but you can't see my face so much now, but we appreciate, and I see Mike Anderson clapping. I think we'd all like to clap and shake everybody's hand. Maybe we'll do like a high five, a figurative high five to everybody. So thank you. We will get these awards to you. We really appreciate everything you did. I'd also like to take a second to just acknowledge somebody else. For this particular award, one of our board members, Mr. Mike Anderson, received several nominations for this award as well, and was definitely a worthy person to get this. He's done a lot for our community. He started Denville Strong. He helped organize some meals for some people that were coming under some hard times, and I just felt like it's important to bring that up for Mike. I feel like he was terrific throughout the whole COVID crisis for our community. So I think we could give him a little high five too. So good job, Mike. Our next category is the staff member of the year. And I'd like to call up Mrs. Mary Ferrone, the PTA co-president of Riverview, to make the announcement.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Forte. Today I'm very honored to be here to announce that the winner is Mrs. Molina. Mrs. Molina actually received 11 separate nominations for the award from her colleagues as well as other members of the community. She has done a fantastic job, not only just in her career at Riverview. She started at Riverview in 2000 as a world language teacher and moved into a position as a third grade teacher, and then moved back in 2017 to a world language teacher. Over those years, we have countless stories in the nominations that just says how she has always been willing to not only help the students, but also other staff members, and she's been devoted to Denville and Riverview School, Lakeview School, and the whole community. Especially during the last couple of months, she's worked extra hard, not only during school time, but also on her personal time, to make sure that the virtual process has been even more special. She worked on a number of different projects, including for our fifth grade students, putting together many of the end of the year presentations. She also put together she used her video skills to put together different highlight videos for the staff and for the parents. And it really helped to make the end of the year more special by being able to remember all the wonderful things that have happened throughout the year and doing such a wonderful job with it. So from, I'm a parent and a community member, and I want to say thank you to Mrs. Molina and congratulations.
So here's Mrs. Molina gets a plaque and a $50 gift card to Sergio's. And the last group got gift cards to second half. Ms. Molina did a lot to help with people that were running into difficulty during COVID. And she helped a lot with the language barrier. There were several people who were, their primary language was Spanish, and Ms. Molina went above and beyond to help out to make sure that they were getting any kind of services that we could. So it's really terrific when you know you can count on somebody and rely on somebody to do that. So it's great. You know what? At the end, we'll ask if any of the participants want to say anything, because normally we'd call you up, and if you wanted to say something, you could. So at the end, we'll do that. So the last award, I'm going to make the announcement. It's the Student of the Year Award, and the committee overwhelmingly decided to select an 8th grade student from Valley View named Virginia McCarthy, and it's a special case. We're very proud to do this, and the award will be given to her parents. I'll make sure of that. And it was definitely a trying year for us, and I am very happy that Virginia was able to be selected as the Student of the Year. And here's her award, and her family will get a gift card to second half as well. So that was a good story for us at the end here. So thank you, everybody. So not putting anybody on the spot, but I do want to give you the opportunity if anybody would like to speak, like from the community members of the year. Is there anything that Mrs. Banks or Mrs. Gershaw would like to say? It's okay if you don't want to too.
I just want to thank everyone for the award. It was a complete surprise. Robin and I, it was our pleasure to do what we did for the town. And thank you all very much. And thanks, Jeff. Oh,
and I'd also like to thank you too. I was overwhelmed. The whole thing is just overwhelming. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you. And I echo the same. Thank you very much for this honor. It was definitely unexpected. I mean, I don't do things for a reward at the end. I just felt like these families really needed help during this pandemic. And I'm fortunate that I was able to help them. A lot of them really were in need in Denville. And they called me during the week and just said, we're hungry. And I tried hard to help as much as I could. So thank you. And I love being a part of Denville.
Thank you. That's a great story. Thank you so much. Mrs. Wagner, I don't know if anybody else has anything to say, but you can open it up to the board members if you like.
Sure. Do any of the board members want to comment?
Mrs. Wagner, it's Mike. I would just echo congratulations to everyone and thank you for everything that all of you do for the community, for the students, even the community members, both Susan and Robin. You set an example for students just like Mrs. Molina for what it means to be a well-rounded student, which we know is really, really important to all of our young members of our community. So really appreciate everything you do, and thank you all for everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
I just want to say thank you too to all the people that are on the call to witness the presentation of the awards. It's very great that people came out, and I appreciate Mrs. Ferrone and Mr. Barnish for agreeing to make the award presentations. Thank you.
So congratulations to all our award winners. And I think we should also thank the PTAs as well as the foundation for continuing this tradition. It's something great. And I think that we're all honored to be a part of this great community. And the choices were numerous. So we're lucky that we had so many choices, and you guys should be honored that you were chosen among them. So thank you.
I could just take a second too. I did overlook something. This has been sponsored by the Foundation of Denville and the combined PTAs from all three schools. They're the ones that fund it, and I just wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Okay, so you'll see on the agenda next meeting is July 6th, and we will have our goal setting meeting for that time. And now we move on to superintendent comments.
Okay. And anybody who's on the call that wants to leave, we won't be offended because we have an agenda to go through. And we appreciate everything you did for us and getting on the call. Thank you. So, superintendent comments. Graduation recap is the beginning. So, our graduations went great. Obviously, it's not an in-person traditional type of graduation, but everybody went above and beyond as usual. I sent out to you, all the board members, and to the public, all 3 videos from the 3 schools for the virtual graduations. And each school also did another type of kind of quasi in-person graduation, where Lakeview did a drive up and out kind of thing, where people just drove through the parking lot, received their awards or any type of certificates, and then moved on. And we also, at Riverview and Valley View, we kind of did the opposite, where we took the show on the road and drove by everybody's houses. I was fortunate enough to go with the Valley View crew on Wednesday. We did 41 houses, and I was so impressed with the families, the staff, and the children. Each kid was waiting for us and excited to see us. The parents were excited. They all took pictures. Some kids had their cap and gown on. Some kids were just dressed up, and it was terrific. And to see our staff doing those kinds of things and going above and beyond for kids, it always makes me feel good about what I'm doing. So I'm glad I was able to get on that, and I think we can all be proud that we did something all for this. Oh, I forgot. I got to go back a second. I have Steve on the call too. I had one more piece. So, Steve, are you there? Lubalinka from the township. So, Steve, this check right here, I will drop it off across the hall. It's a check for $600 made out to the foundation, out to Denville Social Services.
I think we lost Steve.
Yeah, you guys lost me. Sorry about that. Can you see me now? Yeah. So Steve, here's our check for $600 made out to Denville Social Services from this award. So we just wanted to make sure you were there, and I appreciate you getting on the call as well. What, I had it upside down? It was upside down. Thank you. So Steve, I'll drop this check off for you for needy families and people who are in need of assistance. So thank you. Getting back to my comments, and sorry about that, Steve. You can take off if you want to. That's fine. The New York Yankees are still planning on using our facilities. If you're not aware, we've been renting to the New York Yankees camp for this would be the 7th year, and the camp is set to be held in late July. They primarily use township property. They only use ours if there's inclement weather. So it's mostly outside at Gardner Field. But right now, the plan is they're on track to do it as usual. The Giants camp did back out, but they did ask us if they could reserve a spot for us next year. The Giants camp money has funded things through the Foundation of Denville, and the money from the New York Yankees camp goes into our capital reserve at the end of the year. And the township and the board has received about $15,000 since the inception of using. The township has received 15, and the Board of Ed has received about $15,000 from the Yankees for this camp, and they've also provided a certificate to raffle off at our foundation golf outing every year. So it's a great relationship. We would try to continue it. ESY. So ESY right now is going to be virtual. We've put it out that it's virtual. The state did give us permission to go live, but that was just last week. And there's a lot of planning involved in this. But we are looking at possibly doing ESY for the last 2 weeks or so in person for children, for a select group of children. We won't be able to do it for every kid to get it off the ground quickly, but we would like to get it off the ground for students who are the most adversely affected by the online learning. So we're looking at that, and there'll be more information to come. But for right now, we're virtual, again, looking at possible end of year switching to in person. Our committees for reopening, set to reopen in September, are still moving on. We expect to get guidance from the NJDOE, the New Jersey Department of Education, midweek. So I think that's Wednesday. We should have more guidance and what any planning to get ready to open in September. We're supposed to have that by Wednesday. We're also, Sandy and I have a meeting with a group to discuss racial equity in our curriculum on July 6th. We'll give you some information about that later on after the meeting. And we are going to have to revise our 2021 calendar due to an error that I made. I miscounted the amount of days in November, so we're gonna make a revision. We also will. We're gonna move, since we have the new contract. We're gonna move the dates for the conferences in the fall, and I toyed with the idea of using the teachers convention as 2 half days of school, but it does. I think that's not going to work out. Nobody else is doing it, and it'll cause other problems for us. So most likely we'll have a revised calendar ready to go in July. There'll be very minor changes, but we will have the ability to have seven snow/emergency closing days. That will give us some flexibility depending on what happens with the COVID crisis throughout the school year of 2021. The set right now, we have 5 days built in. We have the day before Memorial Day, and I'm going to recommend we add back the day before President's Day as well, to give us another day if we needed to take it, depending on what happens in the fall, but to also give us a 4-day weekend in the fall when we have typical flu season too. So that'll be on the agenda for the 6th. And that's the end of my comments.
Okay, sorry, it's been taking me a minute to unmute. Thank you, Dr. Forte. Dr. Cullis, Assistant Superintendent, comments?
I also have a great announcement to make. So one of our principals, Mrs. Christina Theodoropoulos, has been nominated for the Terrell H. Bell Award for Outstanding Leadership. And this is a blue ribbon, basically the Blue Ribbon Administrator of the Year award. So she has been nominated, and she will find out in August whether or not she is the final candidate, but I can tell you what a great honor it is to have her outstanding leadership and to be acknowledged at the national level for what she has done in our districts. So congratulations, Tina. Do you want to say anything, Tina? I'm putting you on the spot. Just have to unmute.
So I wanted just to say thank you so much. It was amazing receiving the nominations. The 2 PTA presidents, from 2 staff members, from Dr. Cullis, and it was just wonderful to even be considered that. And I'm so proud and so grateful for everyone's support. So thank you all very much.
We so look forward to hearing
It's a great honor.
About your nomination, as well as our Riverview School nomination in August. So a few more months and we will be finding out our good news. Fantastic. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
That's right. I also want to just give some final data on 2 of the merit goals for this year. So updates, those are in the folder. But just to let you know, goal number 1 was to increase our student performance in math through the Freckle program. This was the first year that we used the Freckle program, and we were aiming for 80% of our students to perform on grade level, and those that were not, to close that gap by 50%. We really worked this program through our closing. It was difficult to get consistent data after our shutdown. So I really used the data from September to March. I think more students would have been able to reach goals if we had the full extra 3.5 months. But what we found was that out of the 920 students out of 1,086 in grades 3 through 8 were able to meet the goal or close the gap by 50%. So the goal of having 80% was met because we achieved 84.7% of the students. What I found interesting about the data moving forward, because I can't compare it to other data, this is the first year we used Freckle, but I can compare it to other measures that we've used in math. And I think it confirmed what we have been seeing, that as the grade levels go through from 3rd to 8th, we're seeing a number of students get farther and farther behind. I found it very interesting that the percentage at 3rd grade was 96% of our students being on grade level, and by 8th grade, 73%. So I found that interesting that each year we dropped off. 3rd and 4th grade was about the same at 96%. And then we steadily dropped off each grade level. Knowing that, we really have to use that data in our plan, our 4-year plan of how are we going to catch those students up? What are we going to do? Because these students obviously need to gain at least 1 year, or at least one, but in the addition, the gap. So more than 1 year's growth in a year's time. So that will be really something that we'll have to look at for next year. The other goal was to create the math tutoring program at the middle school. And for the first few months that we had it in place, we actually had not started till after winter break because we only had a certain amount of available funding. And we thought it would last us through May. Unfortunately, of course, the shutdown changed that. But we did have, of the days that we were able to attend, we ran it 2 days per week, and we had every day 11 to 16 students participate throughout the program. So every day we had students attend and come and work on that. And we had at least 2 teachers every day offering that tutoring service to the middle school students. And we would like to continue that in the fall. So for grant funding, we're going to add that in and continue to run a program for extra help math as part of our 4-year Close the Gap plan. And this concludes the Assistant Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Cullis, and congratulations, Mrs. Theodoropoulos. Another honor bestowed upon you and your school. So congratulations to you. Dr. Cullis, can I ask you a quick question about your merit goal? And I don't know if any other board members have questions. So I'm sorry, I can't write down the full number. What is the percentage over? It's 84%, I believe, meeting grade level.
The goal? We were looking for, our goal was 80%, and we had 84.7. But we did notice, I mean, because it's the average of all the grades, but you have the beginning grades at 96, almost 97%, and then as we go all the way down to 77. So, clearly it confirms what we've seen in NJSLA, what we've seen in our other measurement data, our benchmark data, that we are dropping off as the math gets harder and harder. Students are dropping off of grade level and becoming. I had a great conversation or email with Mr. Anderson discussing this, because it isn't surprising to me that by 5th grade, that's where the drop off starts, because the math gets so much more conceptually difficult. At that point, students can no longer just rely on memorization, because it's just the numbers are too large, and the concepts are just more challenging, and the work that we're giving them just really stems back when we have those conversations with parents of why we spend so much time with basic numbers from kindergarten through 2nd grade, because if they don't have that basic foundation, we really see it in 5th grade. The kids that either moved here late and didn't go through our program or didn't have that foundation are really just starting 5th through 8th falling behind. And, that was really concerning.
Thank you.
I'm looking at actually an accelerated, an expedited, oops, am I frozen? Did I freeze there? I'm looking at an accelerated program for next year. It actually takes students that are grade levels behind and puts them on a fast track to try to catch them up ninth grade. It's a different remediation program, but some of these students are 3 grades behind. So
thank
get
you.
them caught up. Sure.
Thank you for that explanation, and congratulations on meeting your goal. That 84.7, do we have a comparison point of data from the year prior?
We do not, because this is the first year we used Freckle. So it's the first year that we collected the data, and in that year we have found things that were beneficial, but also some things that we want to even raise the bar a little bit more for some of the students. So we're looking at some other programs for next year as well, in addition or in lieu of Freckle. But it does compare to what we've seen in the other areas. We are improving because we were at 64% for 8th grade, and now at least we're up to 77. But I'm worried about the 3 months being gone. We still, I want to rerun some data in September to see where we're at after this reopening. Am I freezing? Because I think my phone is, I'm going to try to do a new connection, but go ahead and please move on.
Okay, Dr. Cullis, thank you.
Yeah.
On to the business administrator comments.
I do have 3 comments. The first one is, can anybody can hear me? Good. The first one is the deadline for the November 2020 election is July 27 at 4:00 p.m. Please file your petition with the county clerk. Check the website. It might have to be filed electronically this year, but it could change as well. So just go online, check. There will be 3 openings as of the end of this calendar year. My second comment is on the agenda is also one of my merit goals. One merit goal for 1% of my salary, and that was for the attainment of the certification of excellence in financial reporting. And my third and final comment is we have to congratulate Mr. Capello. Mr. Capello satisfied the Master Board member certification with New Jersey School Board Association. He earned 40 credits, and he also successfully passed the Master Board member exam. Congratulations, Mr. Capello. Your commitment and dedication to the district is commendable. Thank you, and congratulations.
Well, thank you, Damaris, and congratulations on your award. That's obviously a much bigger deal.
Oh no.
Since you mentioned it, they actually sent me my swag, so I'll take a sec.
Oh, wow.
So I got a full plaque.
There you go.
I got a letter. I got a tote.
Wow.
And my favorite thing, and I'm going to hold this up to the camera, is I got a little pin.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's what I say. So there's we say we don't get paid for this gig. We don't get any perks. So probably we're wrong. But no, thank you very much.
Great.
Well, congratulations.
Nicely done, Dino.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Mr. Capello. Congratulations to Damaris on your award. You guys are just all blowing it out of the park here. Okay, so it is 8:04 is what I have, and we are going to open the public discussion section. Thank you, Mr. Kim, for noting that in the chat. If anyone has any comments, feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself and state your comment or question, or feel free to type it in the chat on the right-hand side of your screen. And we're just going to give you guys a minute in case anyone wants to make any comments or ask any questions. Okay, I don't hear anyone, and I don't see any comments being typed in the chat box. So at 8:05, we are going to close the public portion of this meeting. the first one and move on to old business. Mr. Kim, would you mind moving us through old business tonight?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Everyone can hear me okay, correct?
Yes.
Great. I'd like to motion that we approve the following reports, and under A, B, and C. A is the treasurer of school monies, as well as the board secretary reports for May 2020. Also under B is the report for student enrollment and the report of health office for May 2020. And finally for C, the minutes for work session and the executive session for May 11th, as well as the regular session meeting minutes for May 18th.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner,
Yes. Okay, we're moving on now to new business action to be taken. Mr. Capello, would you mind moving us through? Oh, I'm sorry. Not that you couldn't have, but Mr. Anderson, if you wouldn't mind moving us through the lengthy personnel section.
Absolutely. If there are no objections, I'd like to move items 1 through 17 with make sure there's a note that there is on the addendum additions to item 1 within personnel. They include the typical new hires, cash in for vacation and whatnot in item number 1, a lengthy list of individuals, some leave of absences. I would pay close attention or point out item number 9, which is the board to approve miracle number 1 for Dr. Cullis, as well as item number 10, which is to approve the miracle number 4 for Dr. Cullis, and item number 11, which is Damaris's miracle, as well as the 13 and 14, which are the contracts, 1-year typical contracts for both Damaris and Dr. Cullis.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Laura, this is Dino. On item 1S, it's small, but I think it's Conforte, isn't it? Not Court. I think there's a misspelling in her last name. Jennifer.
That's actually her name, Conforte.
Oh, really? Oh, I've been saying Conforte all these years.
I think I do too, but it's not that.
Okay. You learn something new every day. And I just wanted to congratulate, I know we have a couple of retirements. We have Linda Frost from Lakeview and Elaine Gallagher at Riverview. Particularly Mrs. Gallagher. My kids both enjoyed spending their time at Riverview with her, and she's retiring this year. I'm sure she'll be missed by everyone, the students and faculty alike. So I wish her well.
Anybody else?
I believe I'd also like to call attention to, I believe it's, where was it? Mrs. Molina that's moving across? No, sorry, Rachel Jameson is moving across the guide. She's, so I think that's something worthy of note as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Congratulations to her. I know we said it already, but Damaris and Sandy, congratulations on meeting your miracles and another contract. We're happy to have you guys and all the awards that you and the district are winning are just shows how great you guys are. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, if nobody has any other comments, roll call, please.
Mr. Kim,
Congratulations to all, and yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Stillor,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, and now, oh, sorry, I'm flipping through all of our lists here. Roll call. Okay, so now, am I right that IMP is next?
Yep.
Okay,
I believe so.
what's up?
Yes, sorry. Sorry, I had to unmute. I'd like to move item 1 under instruction and programming to be approved. It's following professional development workshops with expenses for staff members and or board members. This one is for a teacher from Lakeview to go to take Teachers College Units of Study, Phonics Summer Institute online for $650.
Second.
Was that Mr. Kim?
Yes.
It can be, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have questions or comments? This is another online class at this point. Okay, I don't see any, so roll call, please.
Kim,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, moving along, we are at policies next. Mr. Capello, would you mind moving us through policy revisions tonight?
I'd be happy to. If there are no objections, under policy revisions, I would like to move policies and regulation 5200, policy and regulation 5240, policy and regulation 5410, and regulation 5230, all for second reading.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Cass.
Isn't that second reading and adoption? I don't know if it matters for the motion, but we're adopting them tonight, right?
Right, we are. So yes, I'm happy with that. Second reading and adoption.
Mr. Cass, are you okay with that amendment?
Yeah, I thought we were approving them in second reading.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on the policy revisions? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, on to finance. Mr. Kim, would you mind moving us through finance?
Sure, I'd be happy to. If there are no objections, I would like to motion numbers 1 through 11 as a block under section D, finance, where number 1 is the checks as listed in the table on the agenda. Number 2 is the resolution for capital reserve transfers. Number 3 is the resolution for maintenance reserve transfers, as well as other items that include services for Cashman Landscape under 6, and another contract for Prime Healthcare Services under number 7, and number 8 for Damaris to possess a QPA certificate. Number 9, which is the submission of the amendment for the application of the ESEA NCLB application for 2021. Which accepts grants of funds for Title I of $44,468, Title II Part A $22,784, Title III of $5,904, and Title IV for $10,000, as well as the attached non-resident teacher tuition agreement for $4,000 for number 10, and a donation under number 11 for 2,760 surgical and N95 masks from Miss Ann Voigt.
I'll second.
Just a quick comment on the donation. Mrs. Voigt is the parent of Virginia McCarthy, the Student of the Year.
I had a question about the check numbers that I just noticed. It appears that checks.
Guys, I think sorry, Dave, to interrupt. I think we lost Laura.
I think she just came back in, guys. Or she's joining. There she is.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, Dave.
No worries, no worries. I was looking, I just noticed it appears that there's some overlapping checks. Like the second row, it says checks 1323 through 1363. And then the next row says 1355 through 1434. One is for general organization and one is for elementary enrichment. I mean, it's not very much and it probably doesn't matter, but is it supposed to be like that?
Mr. Lua, those are two different accounts, and yes, it's supposed to be that way. The general organization is for student activity accounts, and the elementary enrichment is more for the enrichment clubs in the afternoon.
Okay, thank you. I just it looked a little weird.
No problem, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I went out for a second accidentally. Were there any other comments for finance? Did you guys, I just want to acknowledge what Dr. Forte had said. Thank you to Ms. Vogt for the donation of the N95 masks. It's very generous. Okay, I don't think there's any. Was that a comment? No? Okay, so roll call, please.
Mr. Kim?
Yes.
Mr. Cass?
Yes.
Mr. Capello?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yeah.
Mr. Lure?
Yes.
Mrs. Gould?
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner?
Yes. Okay, on to operations. Mr. Cass, would you mind moving us through?
Glad to. We have one item under operations tonight under transportation. I'm going to ask that the board approve the parent for a special education student for the 2020-2021 school year at a total cost of $2,700.
Second.
Can I just ask, Mr. Cass, if it turns out that we are not allowed to transport children, will that still be awarded, or is that contingent upon us being allowed to transport children?
Mrs. Wagner, this is a different type of contract. This is the parents transporting their own child.
Oh, I see. I apologize. Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Kim,
Yes.
Mr. Cass,
Yes.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Lure,
Yes.
Mrs. Gould,
Yes.
Mrs. Wagner.
Yes. Okay, so we are on to good of the cause, committee reports, correspondence, and discussion items. We have those 2 discussion items. Before we get to them, does anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up? No. Wow. Okay. So then, Dr. Forte, do you want to?
I already brought that up today in my comments, but I just like to have it on there. I think we've done this several times, right? When we left space concerns on our agenda for a long time. We got it straightened out. So I just like to keep it there to remind us to talk about it. It's important. The second thing I put on there just to remind us to talk about what's the pulse on returning to live meetings. I know in my own feelings are, I would like to do it, but I don't want to wear a mask. So if we're going to have to wear masks, it's kind of weird, like not seeing each other's face, but that's just my opinion. If we do it, we would have to wear a mask and we'd have to do social distancing. We'd have to probably put a second row of seats in front of the first row for like half the board members on the dais part, and then the other half on the bottom, and then have the public separated too, which is not a real big ordeal. So right now the plan would be for July 6th to still go online, and we have a speaker that day and we have presentation. But if the pulse of the board is you guys want to get back into live board meetings, we can talk about that.
Dr. Forte, can I ask, if we go live, assuming that the board is comfortable, would we still be able to have the public join in virtually? And do we need to have the municipal building open to the public before we can do in person?
So the municipal building's opening to the public tomorrow.
Oh, great.
So that part's taken care of. The second part, we have our technology director on the line, which is Cindy Costanza. I think maybe you can answer that for us. Would we be able to set something up that people wanted to talk virtually, they could?
Yes, absolutely. We could set that up.
She's pretty quick, right? She's on and off. Yeah. It's like
How do you work that button so quickly? I can't. And legally, I don't know if you've discussed that at all with Matt. Is that a concern that the audience could be in the building or virtual?
I did not mention that to Matt yet, but I know like the town's doing it.
Okay.
The town's doing it that way now. I don't know if it's to the public though. I'll ask Matt what they think about going live, but I just wanted to put it on, really just basically like the other one, just put it on the agenda to just remind us to start thinking about it. So my thoughts are, if we're going to do it, maybe we shoot for the August meeting.
Does anybody have any thoughts about meeting live for August?
I'm ready to go live whenever everybody else is, but I am also unwilling to force it upon members of the board who are not ready to do so yet. So basically, whenever everybody else is ready, I'm ready too.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
I think August would be a good early date to do. There's been an uptick in cases in some states. Could it be because more testing? I've never gotten the stats on that, or is it because more people out and about without taking precautions? I think there's still some unknowns, but I think August would be a good target date, and hopefully New Jersey won't join that trend. It will continue to be on the downside with new cases.
Thanks, Don.
Laura, it's Dino. I would just add, I mean, I think I'm pretty strongly in the camp of I'd like to try to get back to some version of normalcy with the meetings. I think Dave's point, though, is a good one. We may want to think about being able to do some of us virtually if, just in terms of social distancing, or if some of us don't, we can't or don't want to be there. I think we maybe should plan on a hybrid situation if it's possible. But I'd really like to try to get back in August. I also think it's important for us to reestablish some kind of live meeting schedule before the school year. So I'd like to find a way to do it.
Thanks, Dina.
Yeah, Laura, this is James. I agree. I echo everything that Dino said. If we don't go live and we expect the students to be present, then we would be sort of showing a bad precedent or setting a bad example. I do like the virtual element, though. I know that. Well, I don't know if there's any regulations that prohibited us from doing virtual meetings in the past, at least from an audience standpoint. But to have the audience participate virtually does allow us to communicate more with the community, in my opinion. I think that people who have busy family lives and can't come out to the municipal building, but have something that they might want to say. And so to have that virtual forum does, I think, give us more access to more of the community members who normally couldn't make it in person. So I would love to see that as part of a standardized process. Even having cameras on each individual board member, maybe using the Chromebooks so that they could see who's speaking and what each individual might be saying. But I'll leave that up to Cindy and her expertise.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. So it sounds like most people are tentatively on board. Dr. Forte, can you find out if not only the public could attend virtually or in person, but if board members if that would be acceptable legally for us to have some board members present and some attend virtually?
Yeah, I think our policy allows that now, like for a board member to call in, but I'm going to double check all this with Matt. I'll copy you and James on the email, and Damaris.
Okay. And since you're going to have a conversation with him, if you could also ask about continuing to have the audience, once everything does go back to normal, continuing to allow them to participate virtually. I agree that it is something that would be a convenience for the community.
Right.
I think that I can't see them having any problems with having the public viewing it live. I mean, we already YouTube it and put it up. It just cuts a couple hours off of the time that they get to view it, and I think there would definitely be some benefit to having people who normally wouldn't be able to make it able to participate directly. I think Mr. Kim has a very good point there.
Hi, this is Katie. I actually attended virtually one of the town hall, or, town council meetings, and they had a few people there. They were spread out the way they were sitting, so they weren't sitting right next to each other, and a few people were remote, and they did allow some people to speak over the Zoom or whatever kind of meeting they had, but they had big problems when they did that with sound and feedback. So that's something that would have to be worked on ahead of time, I believe, is switching from the computer to because basically the computer started playing the sound and went into the microphones, and it was just a feedback loop. So
thanks, Katie. Anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns?
Hey, Laura, just one quick thing. Steve, at the last meeting, there was a comment, or at least I'm not sure it was at the last meeting. It may have been in your report to the board. There was a public comment that was brought up at one of the council meetings, and I believe the council or the town directed it to you. I believe you had reached out to the person. I know that you were off last week for a few days, so just wondering if you had a chance to connect with that person.
We're just playing phone tag right now, but we connected with some other people that were involved in that group as well.
Okay. Whenever, it doesn't have to be now, but if you could just give an update on in the board report, that way kind of know what the questions or resolution, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Dr. Cullis mentioned it at the last meeting with some stuff over the summer that we're looking at with curriculum and everything. So just wanted to kind of get some follow up on that. That was all.
Okay.
Laura, if I may, I'd like to ask Steve something else. First of all, Steve, I wanted to thank you, Dr. Cullis and Damaris, as well as all the administration for a wonderful job with the graduation ceremonies. I know it was tough, and I know this is something everyone had to sort of figure out on the fly. So kudos to everyone on such a wonderful job on doing the best you can under these circumstances. I was wondering, on top of that, I wanted to congratulate everyone for all their awards. I don't know if I'm spoiled or whatnot, but I can't keep track of everything and everyone's awards, and it's so hard. I'm blessed to be part of a district that goes above and beyond. I was wondering, Steve, if you could provide an update with Riverview Annex and Valley View Field. I know that there's a report there, but it sounds like everything seems to be humming along. Would you say that's correct?
Yes, the Riverview Annex is going great. There's the electricians were in today. The plumbing's it's probably about 75% done, and the painting and carpet is done. The new walk has been installed. There's some fencing repair that has to get done. The windows and doors still have to be done, but that's all stuff that they had to order. So they're expecting to be done with all the things that won't be holding them up, like because of ordering things like doors by the end of the month, and then just have a couple odds and ends to finish up over the summer. Our custodial crew has been in there cleaning the building, getting it ready, and we have one summer helper, and he's been putting together the furniture, and he'll also be painting around the district. As for Valley View Field, you got to drive by because there's a Mount Everest on that field right there. If you see it, I mean, it's funny when you just pull up there. You're like, wow, I didn't realize they had to make a mountain in the middle of the field to get it done. But it looks like there's a lot of work getting done, and they're making great progress. And even the posts for the new fence have been installed already. The wall is finished. We also added some stone in front of the wall to give some more parking over there. That project's moving along nicely as well. The other big project is the Lakeview Electric. That is going to be done. It's just there's some lead time in it, so it'll be done over the summer.
For Valley View, there will be sprinklers installed as well, right? I just don't know when they typically install sprinklers.
I know they're going to do that before they put the sod. You know what? I think sometimes they put it after the sod. That doesn't make sense to me, but I think they're doing it before the sod.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for the update.
Yeah, we should make sure they, if need be, put some pressure on them to have that done before they put the sod down, because you're going to put the sod down, then you got to lift the sod up to do the trenching and everything. They usually leave the heads up about an inch above the topsoil, so when the sod's put in, it's level with the sod.
Okay.
Steve, can you tell us when you think the signage will be going up at the annex?
I was told by the end of the month.
By the end of June? Great.
Yeah, by the end of June.
Yeah.
Great.
And is there any specifications for the removal of any of the religious artifacts that are out and about on the inside and the outside to preserve them, and I guess store them somewhere in the school areas we don't use?
So in the contract for the contractor, the ones that are kind of embedded into the building, they'll be removed by the contractor and handed over to the parish. The parish will have a place to store them. It won't be on us. It'll be them. The majority of the other ones will be covered, not removed.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's like a cross embedded on the west side of the building, which probably be very difficult to remove and then put new brick in.
Yeah, that's going to be covered because even if you did put the new brick in, it would be a cross, right? A new brick cross, unless you took out the whole wall. But we're just going to cover that with a metal sign, hopefully to say Blue Ribbon School. So we're waiting on that one. So some of them, to answer your question, some of them will be done sooner than later. The ones that have to be done will be done first, and then the other ones will be done later.
Got it.
Okay, if nobody has anything else, it is time for the second public comment section. So as Mr. Kim so kindly typed again, you can type your question or comment over to the right in the chat box, or just unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask your question or comment. And it is 8:36, so we're just going to give them a minute. Okay, I am not seeing or hearing anyone that wants to make a comment, so we're going to close the second public meetings section at 8:37. And we do have need for a second executive, but for the members of the public, when we come out of or actually it's our first executive, but when we come out of executive session tonight, we will not be voting on anything. So there'll be no public comments or voting. So would somebody like to move us into
I
executive?
move to convene an executive session in accordance with Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of this closed session will be to discuss, I believe it's personnel issues. Minutes of the session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Second.
Can I, Laura, if you don't mind, can I interrupt? Can I ask, can we add negotiations into discussion for tonight on the executive?
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
As am I.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting is adjourned at 8:38.
No.
No, I'm sorry. We're moving into executive session at 8:38. I apologize.
And there will be no voting after, correct?
Right, there will be no voting after.
Thank you.
Cindy, before we go, can I just ask you, I set up a meet. Will I know if anybody besides us joins?
If someone outside the district join, well, you can look at the chat on the side, the list of people,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll show you everybody that's there.
So that's what I'm asking. There's no way to hide you there, right? Like if you join, you're coming up there.
Yes, you'll come up there.
Okay.
And also anyone from outside the district will bing when they enter.
Oh, we don't bing. Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
All have the invitation.
Yep.
See you there.
See you there.
Good night.
Yep.
We can dial in now?
Yeah, go ahead, Don. Do you have that number?
I'm going to dial in with my phone.
Okay, thank you.